Good. Good. So we'll, again, still in the protocol because you got to get through contact practice.
Do you expect him to do that?
Everything's positive right now. Yeah.
I guess the last thing is you just need him to go through contact.
Yeah.
I guess that's the figure out that.
Right.
When you look at these matchups against Cleveland, I mean, how frustrating has it been that it seems like they've been anomalies, even going back to last year, the way that you guys play other teams and the way that these two games have gone with your starters. I mean, how frustrating has it been that they just kind of went that way?
Turnovers have hurt us. I think it's as simple as that. If you really look at the last, maybe not looking at the Week 18 game last year, but the other ones, turnovers have gotten us.
So what's going to be, is that going to basically be the thing you're going to drive home throughout the
Yeah.
games? Like, we just got to take care of it.
Right. They're talented. They got a really good team. We got a lot of respect for them. They're on a 2-game winning streak right now. They've played really good football. They're not fully healthy, but on defense, they're about as healthy as they've been all year. And again, they're a really talented group that's played really well as of recent, especially.
Zac, I know you've talked about favorite throws of yours of Joe Burrow, and one was the Tyler Boyd one his first year that you mentioned. 3rd and 11 on Sunday. Is that up? It looks incredibly difficult, obviously, from a guy that's not a football coach or a player, but is that up there for you?
Yeah, it's certainly in the moment. The moment justifies it being one of the best throws. It's a really tight window. It was good coverage, and it was a big moment, with the guy bearing down on him. And so just to have that fearlessness to pull the trigger and let T go get it, I thought it was what we needed at that moment, and of course he stepped up and delivered.
A guy with the athletic skill set that Watson has, 700 days, he's played one football game. How quickly do you think it'll take him to knock the rust and dust off? Do you expect him to be performing at a much higher level in this game than he did in the first one?
We expect him he's a great player. We saw him week 16 2 years ago, up close and in person, how difficult he was. So we know when he's at his best what he looks like. We always assume that we're going to get people at their best. That's what we plan for and prepare for, and that's what we assume we'll get on Sunday. So again, we got our work cut out for us because he's a really talented player.
Is the offense different, Zac, from Houston to Cleveland? I mean, what has Kevin and company kind of implemented a different defense or offense, or have they kind of used his skill set?
It's only been one game, to be honest with you, and so I can't speak for what their intentions are with that. There's certainly he's had a lot of success doing certain things. You see a little bit of elements of that, but again, it's only been one game. And so it's hard to speak on exactly what they're going to look like each and every week. I'm sure it'll continue to evolve as it goes.
How do you account for that when a player, you expect him to shake off that rust because, of his past, but also you don't really know what they're going to add as the offense goes along?
Say that one more time.
I mean, in terms of...
Someone started playing a piano or something in the middle of it.
How do you account for a player like Deshaun shaking off the rust and, account for something that you haven't seen on film in terms of them adding formations and adding sets and things like that?
It's hard to predict. You can't. We don't know what they're practicing. So again, they've established themselves as a really good offense in this league for a long time, and so there's staples that they've got that they lean on. They still have great offensive line, great back, really talented receivers, things that have been their identity for a long time, and so I'm sure there's give and take on things they want to continue to evolve with him, and things that they've hung their hat on and been successful over multiple different teams and coaching staffs, and Coach Stefanski and Bill Callahan and all those guys, Alex Van Pelt. They've been successful doing this stuff for a long time, and I'm sure that's still a big part of what they want to do.
Do you remember your first conversation with Sam Hubbard when he first got this job, and what was it like?
I don't. I remember when he got drafted by the Bengals, and I was at the Rams, because I remember he was on our list there. I think they liked him a lot. Our defensive coaches did. And so I remember when he got drafted here, that coming up in conversation, that was a guy that they liked. But I don't specifically remember my first conversation I had with Sam, no.
I know you don't have to game plan against Sam, but if you were, what parts of Sam's games would stress you as an offensive player?
We practice against him in training camp, and it's a pain in the butt to run over there. He's relentless as a pass rusher, but he does a great job. I mean, I was going to say point of attack in the run game, but really pursuing on the backside as well. He made a great play against Kansas City that had just showed the team, running the back down on a tight zone from the backside. And so, again, he's just you're going to get everything you can possibly get out of Sam on every single play. Whether he's nicked up, whether he's fully healthy, he's going to be the same guy every time he rolls out there. And so that consistency is what lends him to being a captain and being a leader of this team, because he's just so consistent day in and day out with everything you're going to get from him.
What has Samaje meant to you and the team?
Samaje's, again, you talk about consistency. So it's so critical to have guys like that on the team, that whatever you ask them to do, you know that they're going to understand what you're asking, and they're going to do it to their fullest potential. So whether it's been special teams, whether it's been protection, whether it's been catching the football out of the backfield, whether it's been getting first, second down carries by Samaje, you're always getting his best in that consistency, and that's what we appreciate.
What's he like away from the field, like in the film room, or talking to him in the locker room? I mean, is there a part of him also that is like a quiet leader, if you will?
Sure. Leads by example. He's got the respect of everybody here because of how he handles his business. Again, you know what you're getting every single day you get him. Great family man, wife, kids. They live outside of Norman. So we have similar acquaintances that we've come across over the years, and just have a lot of respect for how he conducts his business. I think all the other players do too. Not everyone has to be that vocal, rah, loud, when they're in the room type of guy. He's got that quiet leadership to him that we all appreciate.
We lost Hayden Hurst during that Chiefs football game. We're not going to have him this week, but Mitchell Wilcox.
I never said that.
Mitchell Wilcox stepped up, big catch on the first drive. He got you in the red zone on the first touchdown. It looked like he blocked pretty well.
He did.
And you got a couple of tight ends in the practice squad. I mean, is there a lot of thought going on as to how you're going to handle that position?
I think that Mitch has gotten better with every single game he's played here. I think he's really locked in and has a great understanding of how to continue to improve as a tight end. That's been awesome to see. I think Devin Asiasi has really come along as well these last couple weeks. He's getting more of a role, more opportunity, and he's doing everything he can to make the most of it. And then like you mentioned, we got two guys in the practice squad too. So it's a good group that I really see continued development from. Every opportunity James gets to coach those guys, they continue to get better.
Since you referenced it, any update on Hayden? Is it the same prognosis?
Yeah, I'd still say doubtful for this week. We'll just take it day to day.
Would going into Cleveland's game with 2 tight ends be out of the question? Would you want to have 3 on the active roster for Sunday?
Those are decisions we'll continue to make over the course of the week.
One thing Joe Burrow said earlier is, one thing that separates the Browns from everyone else is they have Myles, Garrett, other teams don't. What is it about him that's been such a challenge, and how does that change Sunday with just the way it's been against him lately? He's
an elite pass rusher. He can move around. He's now he's played on the left, the right. They'll put him over the guards inside. He's a tremendous player. He's had a ton of production in this league. He's always been a problem. And so again, to have him and Clowney on the other side, and they got young guys that are coming along too, like Alex Wright, and so. They've got a really good front that gives you a lot of problems, and you got to be up for the fight.
Why was it a priority to keep a guy like Kevin Huber in this building?
Well, there's a lot of value for Kevin. He's got so much experience in this league, and he's got such great character, first of all, to be willing to help the guy that's taken over for him, Drew. And he's been there since they've been competing. He's been there for him when Kevin had the job, and now that Drew's taken over, Kevin's still been right there by his side to give him any feedback, any advice. And Darren obviously is arguably the best special teams coordinator in the NFL. We think he is. And so there's so much knowledge that he can give to Drew, but nothing replaces actually doing it for the 14 years or whatever it was that Kevin did it. And so just to have that in our building as well, we thought was critical and valuable to have on our practice squad, and Kevin is willing to do that. And so we're thankful that he accepted that opportunity, and we'll continue to punt and practice and continue to help Drew and all those young guys we got in that room with Cal and Evan. His experience is valuable to all those guys.
You've always been mindful of keeping guys fresh mentally and physically.
Say that one.
You've always been really mindful of keeping the guys fresh. Having 2 backs to share the load, to share the wear and tear, can that have real value as you get into week 17, week 18, the playoffs, or is that a little overrated?
No, I think it's good to have guys in that room that can all carry the load. And again, Joe Mixon's our starting running back, and he's done a great. His last game he played, he had 5 touchdowns, tremendous effort. And Samaje's done a really good job filling in. And so to have those 2 guys that you've got a lot of confidence in, whatever the moment calls for, we think that's very valuable to have, especially going into this late season stretch and hopefully beyond that.
Your former head coach and Brian's dad, Bill Callahan, is a heck of an offensive line coach. He's got a good group. You didn't have DJ or Josh in the interior in that first matchup. They didn't have Taylor. So you got three, different players that are going to be a factor in the football game. Do you feel good about that matchup inside?
I thought our guys performed well. We just didn't give them enough help in the first half of the last game that we played against them. And so we certainly had the opportunities. They took them away from us because they made the plays that we didn't. And so, again, we're counting on a great effort from our defense and our offense to supplement that by scoring points and putting them in a better position than we did the last time we played.
You use the word fight to, for these games against Cleveland, and is that verbiage just specific for maybe this opponent or divisional games, or does that go for just any game? Does it feel more like a
That's
fight?
where we're at. December football it's a grind, and you just got to find any way to win, whether it's a shootout, whether it's low scoring, defensive battle, field position, but it doesn't matter to us. We're going to explore every avenue to make sure we put our guys in an advantage to get that edge to walk off the field at least 1 point better than the other team.
Zach, who would you have ghost Watson in practice, and if you did, what kind of things would you have him do to get ready for what he can do?
We've played a lot of talented quarterbacks that can move around, and so, again, Lou and those guys always do a good job of carting up some good looks and making sure our guys follow through with them, whether it's one of our quarterbacks that's on the practice squad, Jake or Brandon, as the backup, or somebody else to supplement it. There's a lot of reasons to have different people do it, and we just find the best mixture to make sure that we're giving our defense the best look.
How unique is it to face a quarterback of his caliber and not have much film on him in this offense? I mean, there's not much out there outside of last
No, it's oftentimes like you'd play a team early in the season, when they've acquired a new quarterback and maybe haven't played much in the preseason, and you're still exploring what they do. Again, this is a really good offense. They're at the top in a lot of statistical categories, points scored. They've been very efficient. I don't know that they're making wholesale changes when they've been successful for a long time doing it. And so, again, there's obviously things that play to each quarterback's strengths that I'm sure they'll explore. We may find out about them as they happen. There's things that you got to prepare for that you assume may happen. But, again, they've got a really good coaching staff that's done a good job putting those guys in good position, and we got to be ready for anything they can throw at us.
Zach, where have you seen the most growth from Joe Burrow? We talked about his vision with him a little bit and his legs. He said he's running more. He likes that. But where have you seen the most growth with him?
He's been as consistent. He took us to a Super Bowl last year, and so it's the growth. He just continues to see looks over and over. The dialogue I have with him is the expectation of how the game's going to be played. You always want to have that killer instinct that we're going to go score 60 points and score in every possession. I think it's also critical to have that dialogue open to captains on how I envision the game being played, what their strengths are, and prepare them for any moment. He does a great job taking that in and understanding that, and he gives really good feedback in that quarterback room to pitch. I think he's always been really good at that. I think now he just continues to I don't know if feel free is the right word, but he does a great job with the communication, the dialogue with Pitch and Brian and myself, and to where we're always on the same page when we walk on the field on Sunday. He knows the expectations for the plays we call, what the intent is, what we're trying to achieve. He does a great job playing fast. I think that's something he's always excelled in, but this year he's played even faster. And what I mean by that is maybe skipping through progression to get somebody a better opportunity later in the progression than just going 1, 2, 3 kind of cookie cutter read. He sees coverages, he diagnoses them quickly and gets the ball, to the void to give our guys maximum yardage. Instead of just hanging on to the ball and launching deep balls all day, he does a really good job of helping our offensive line by spitting the ball out quick and putting guys in advantageous situations to keep us efficient on first and second down. That's critical for us as play callers.
On that 3rd and 11, the play that clinched the game, as a former quarterback, to see him with the defensive tackle bearing down on him, they run that TE twist and they get the tackle free, and the route, it's like a slant cross combination. The way he waited, first window wasn't, wait till a little longer.
Yeah.
For him to do that and then make the throw he made, how do you rank something?
Yeah, the composure in the moment is critical. It's not normal. It's a lot of quarterbacks would have bailed out of there and tried to salvage the play. The play call was not complicated. It was slant flat. Everybody who's played middle school football has run the concept before. It hit a later window than normal, and if he'd thrown it sooner on 3rd and 11, it might not have gotten there. T would have had to break some tackles there to get that yardage, and so waiting a little bit longer allowed him to get a little more depth and get us the 13 yards we needed on 3rd and 11.
You obviously like what you've built here, and you've had all this
I do.
success recently.
Yeah, I like what we've built. Not it has nothing to do with me.
Did you scratch your head how any team could win 5 in a row against this team?
I didn't understand the question at first. Yeah, just take it one game at a time. That's the same thing we deal with every single week, and we really just reflect back, not on the previous games, but just the last time we played them. That's something you certainly take into account. And again, they've got a lot of talent. Coached, played for some of these guys they got on that staff. Always been in contact with Stefanski before he even got this job. Have a lot of respect for him. So it's a really good football team. They're really well coached. They have great talent. And so, again, we always know it's a battle when we play them, and we got to find a way to come out on top.
Do you find that you have much more to your disposal on your offensive play sheet now, and you're more confident, regardless of the opponent, but do you feel like you have developed that play sheet now that you can go to just about anything?
Yeah. I'd argue we're as simple as we've ever been, to be quite honest with you. We've got a lot of confidence in the things we ask to do. We can tweak it. We can dress it up. There's obviously game plan things you're always going to put in. But at the end of the day, it's our bread and butter stuff that our guys are confident in. And when you've got great players, you just want them to feel confident in what they've done over and over and over. And we certainly make adjustments and tweaks as the games go. But, you found yourself having to be less complicated the better your players are, and just put them in spots to go make plays, and that's what our guys have done.